The story opens inside a noisy wrestling arena where a man named Daniel sits surrounded by cheering fans while clutching a heavy bag close to his chest. Suddenly a man seated behind him leans in with a cold threat to hand over the bag. Daniel demands to know what happened to his girlfriend Jane, but the woman points a gun at his side. She snatches the bag away from his hands then disappears into the crowd. Inside the stolen bag the captors discover several memory drives alongside confidential files. Moments later Daniel gets dragged before their ruthless leader Noah Scanlon, who hands a terrified Jane back over to Daniel. Noah demands the names of everyone involved in this betrayal. Then Noah's men uncover a mysterious glowing device buried deep in the bag. Noah puts on a thick pair of protective gloves before he even dares to touch the metallic object. At that exact second Daniel quietly slips a matching glove onto his own hand because this dangerous technology actually belongs to Noah. Seeing the glove, Noah frantically orders his men to hold their fire since even a single stray bullet could trigger a catastrophic explosion. Noah warns Daniel again and again to loosen his grip so the device does not activate. Daniel does not fully understand the science behind it, but he has watched Noah handle the object in the past. Noah collects his belongings then grabs Jane and forces her into a waiting getaway car. Noah warns Daniel that history offers no reset button if he chooses to move forward with this plan. Then Noah speeds away leaving Daniel standing alone. Jane has no idea what secret world she just got dragged into. Daniel calls his handler Hugo to arrange an immediate drop-off location, but Hugo refuses the request. Hugo informs Daniel that he must carry this dangerous payload to a secure location all by himself. This drastic change completely ruins their original strategy. Daniel argues that he is just an analyst and not a trained field agent. Hugo tells him to stay calm because Daniel must survive the night until a man named Santiago can meet him in the morning. After hanging up, Daniel smashes his satellite burner phone to pieces. Jane knows nothing about Daniel's true line of work, but she knows a quiet place where they can hide. Elsewhere, Noah arrives at the massive corporate headquarters of Wardex Corporation where security teams hunt frantically for Daniel. Daniel happens to be a high-level employee at Wardex. Surprisingly, 11 other staff members fail to show up for work on this same morning. Since Daniel has not leaked the stolen data to the public yet, Noah realizes that a higher power above him must be pulling the strings. Daniel holds a doctorate in theoretical security and spent the last 8 years building every digital firewall protecting the company. Noah's top operative Boyd reports that Hugo also abandoned his desk after cleaning out his entire office. Even worse, Boyd reveals that a second alien device kept in deep storage has gone missing. Meanwhile, Jane brings Daniel to a peaceful monastery where a resident nun welcomes her. The nun updates Jane on local news while Daniel stands in complete shock after realizing Jane is a religious novitiate preparing to take her sacred vows. Both of them have been keeping massive secrets from each other. Jane asks Daniel what kind of stolen items could put his life in such extreme danger. Daniel explains that he stole information that belongs to every human being on the planet. He reveals that 8 years ago he served 19 months in prison for cyber crimes before Wardex hired him. 3 months ago he stumbled upon a massive corporate cover-up and decided to do the right thing by stealing the truth. The scene shifts to a local news station where a frustrated weather reporter named Margaret complains about her boring job. Suddenly a red cardinal bird lands directly on her desk. Margaret stares into the eyes of the bird, feeling an unexplainable sensation flow through her body. Margaret instantly begins speaking rapid fluent Russian despite never learning the language in her life. Her co-worker Jackson slams his hand on the desk to snap her out of the trance. Margaret returns to speaking normal English with zero memory of the strange incident. Later, while driving to work too fast, a police officer pulls her over. The officer asks for her credentials, but Margaret insists she is in a rush. Margaret looks deep into the officer's eyes, then describes intimate details about his private life. She mentions his wife Anna, the recent arguments over their crying baby, and suggests he bring home the red velvet cupcakes he was thinking about. The officer stands stunned in disbelief as Margaret drives away. Upon arriving late at the TV studio, Margaret encounters a visitor who only speaks Korean. Without hesitation, Margaret speaks fluent Korean to the man. When her live weather report begins, simple words fail her completely. She starts making bizarre mathematical clicks and alien noises directly into the camera. Viewers watch in complete confusion until the station cuts the feed. Margaret collapses onto the studio floor. Elsewhere, Daniel leaves the monastery alongside Hugo's operative Santiago while Jane insists on coming along to protect him. As they travel through the area, several Wardex tactical vehicles speed past them. High-ranking military officers confront Noah, calling this breach the worst security failure in corporate history. Noah refuses to involve federal authorities because he wants to handle the situation internally. Noah watches the viral clip of Margaret's bizarre breakdown, discovering that her strange sounds match ancient dialects hidden inside Wardex archives. Noah realizes his team must capture Margaret before Hugo finds her. At the hospital, MRI scans show that Margaret's brain activity is completely normal, though her late father suffered from Parkinson's disease. Two men posing as federal agents enter her room to ask questions. Margaret looks into their eyes and instantly senses they are lying about their identities. A doctor asks Margaret about a traumatic childhood memory from when she was 10 years old. Margaret remembers nothing from that night. Her boyfriend Jackson explains that she still suffers from recurring nightmares about a blue butterfly and a Hansel and Gretel cottage in the woods. Margaret grows furious at Jackson for sharing her personal life. She looks back at the fake agents, starts repeating Daniel's name out loud, then grabs Jackson and flees into the night. Daniel and Jane arrive at a rural safe house where a pack of deer stand motionless while staring directly at Daniel. Jane demands the complete truth about what is happening. Daniel powers up a laptop to display classified footage from 1973 involving President Nixon visiting a hidden Air Force facility. Inside the base, military personnel keep living extraterrestrial beings inside glass chambers. Daniel plays another video showing scientists performing painful bio-experiments on a screaming alien creature. Tears fill Jane's eyes as Daniel reveals that corporations and the Defense Department have been reverse engineering alien technology for 79 years without public knowledge. Noah sits in his office gripping a secondary alien device with his bare hands. The contact causes him excruciating physical pain, allowing him to dive mentally into people's minds for brief moments. Boyd warns him that direct mental contact is extremely dangerous. Noah decides to use the device to invade Jane's mind instead. Jane believes that revealing these aliens will destroy global faith and cause humanity to pray to extraterrestrial beings instead of God. Daniel ignores her religious concerns and leaves the house to search for a cell signal. Out in a nearby field, a mysterious force flattens the crops into massive geometric shapes. Meanwhile, Noah activates his device, causing his consciousness to appear directly inside Jane's mind. Jane experiences terrifying hallucinations where Noah demands to know her exact location and road signs. To fight off his mind control, Jane stabs a sharp metal cross into her own hand. The physical shock temporarily breaks Noah's hold, but Noah uses biblical quotes to manipulate her fragile mental state. He commands her to pick up a nearby kitchen knife. Simultaneously, Margaret receives a sudden psychic impulse containing Daniel's exact phone number. She calls Daniel instantly to warn him that Noah has invaded Jane's mind and commandos are approaching the house. Jackson panics seeing Margaret's wild behavior and snatches the phone back. Daniel spots armed Wardex trucks surrounding the farm. Using the dark tree line for cover, Daniel sneaks around the mercenaries, hijacks an armored vehicle, smashes through the fence, scoops up Jane, then speeds away under heavy gunfire. Inside the bouncing vehicle, Jane struggles against Noah's lingering mental commands. Fighting the urge to stab Daniel, Jane drives the knife straight into her own palm to shatter the link completely. Miles away, Noah collapses onto the floor from pure mental exhaustion. Back at the chase, a low-level Wardex employee picks up the dropped alien device, instantly turning completely invisible to everyone around him. Realizing his error, he drops the object and becomes visible once more. Daniel and Jane reach a steep mountain cliff. They jam a heavy rock onto the vehicle's gas pedal, sending the empty car crashing into the deep ravine below. Arriving mercenaries assume the pair drowned in the rushing river while Daniel and Jane slip away on foot. Elsewhere, Jackson attempts to hand Margaret over to medical staff. Margaret reads his surface thoughts, exposes his secret betrayal, then slips away into the night before he can stop her. Daniel speaks with Hugo over a secure line, asking why Wardex recruited him years ago. Hugo explains that Daniel possesses unique mental gifts for higher mathematics. Daniel reveals that a large portion of his childhood memories are completely wiped from his mind. Hugo reassures him that these missing pieces will make sense soon. Hugo orders him to head directly to broadcast station KCXE in Kansas City. Daniel hides the motel stationery from Jane, then plays the audio file of Margaret's weird breakdown. Daniel explains that the alien sounds translate into pure mathematical code inside his brain. Late that night, Noah uses his lingering connection to control Jane once again, causing her to read the motel name written on a scrap paper inside Daniel's pocket. Santiago arrives at the motel just as Wardex hit squads surround the perimeter. Daniel wakes Jane, hands her the alien device with strict orders never to touch it with bare skin, then ushers her out through the small bathroom window. Mercenaries burst through the front door and capture Daniel, bringing him directly to Noah. Noah demands to know the identities of Hugo's conspirators. Suddenly, Margaret arrives at the corporate facility. Using her mental powers, she projects images of loved ones into the minds of the armed guards, causing the security detail to lower their weapons in confusion. Margaret walks directly into Noah's private office. When Noah grabs her arm, she projects the image of his own wife into his mind, rendering him completely helpless. Margaret approaches Daniel, both realizing they share a deep ancient connection. They walk out of the compound together as guards stand frozen. Outside, Margaret explains that her abilities awakened after her encounter with the cardinal bird. Daniel reveals that he saw the exact same bird at age 20, right before his brain transformed into a mathematical powerhouse. Without warning, Boyd rams a heavy truck into their getaway car, pushing them toward an oncoming freight train. Daniel and Margaret scramble out through the windshield, scaling the side of the moving train while Boyd fires automatic weapons at them. Margaret slips from the metal ladder, but Daniel catches her hand at the last second, pulling her safely inside an open cargo car. Traumatized by the violence, Margaret experiences severe trembling in her hands. Fearing she has inherited her father's disease, Daniel reassures her that she is simply having a massive panic attack. Nearby, Hugo senses that Noah is closing in, forcing his team to evacuate their secret hideout. Noah dives into Hugo's mind, accusing him of helping an alien escape 5 years prior. Hugo admits to the action, stating that 79 years of corporate secrecy and fear must end. Noah argues that humanity cannot process the truth without societal collapse, while Noah argues Hugo's own guards turn against him after Noah tracks their digital signatures. Meanwhile, Jane calls her trusted mentor at the monastery, asking if extraterrestrial life conflicts with faith. The nun explains that God created a vast universe and that discovering new life only proves the scale of creation. Jane asks about Station KCXE, realizing where Daniel is heading. A pack of wild animals leads Daniel and Margaret through the woods toward a convoy of modified fire trucks driven by Hugo's trusted allies. The team brings them to a hidden facility containing an exact structural replica of Margaret's childhood home. Overwhelmed by emotion, Margaret runs inside to find her old bedroom reconstructed down to the smallest detail. Hugo meets them inside, explaining that this house was built to help them recover a suppressed memory from their shared past. Hugo hands them the secondary alien device, instructing both of them to hold it together. As their hands touch the metal, their minds travel back 20 years to a stormy night. 10-year-old Margaret follows a group of forest animals out into the woods where a young Daniel is waiting. They spot a glowing cottage that reveals itself to be a landed alien vessel. Inside the ship, extraterrestrial beings touch the children, granting Daniel supreme mathematical processing and giving Margaret the ability to speak every human tongue. Back in the present, Wardex strike teams assault the hideout. Margaret channels the power of the alien device, projecting an optical camouflage field that turns the entire house and fire truck completely invisible. Confused commandos crash into invisible walls while heat tracking goggles display glowing signatures. Daniel, Margaret, and Hugo pile into the invisible fire truck and burst through the perimeter, driving straight to Station KCXE in Kansas City. Inside the news station, Daniel accesses the main control room, uploading the alien footage directly to international satellite feeds. Hugo guards the loading dock while Jane arrives to deliver the remaining alien device. Noah's team cuts the main power grid to stop the transmission, but Margaret uses the device to surge electrical energy back into the studio systems. She uses her mental influence to make Noah sit quietly in a chair while Boyd flees the building. Station engineers patch the live stream into global networks. Margaret steps in front of the camera, delivering a clear message about the decades of corporate deception. Authentic video feeds play across millions of television screens worldwide, showing military retrievals of crashed extraterrestrial craft from 1947 and 1965. To eliminate all doubt, Hugo leads the living alien creature directly onto the live broadcast set. The creature looks into the camera, confirming the truth to the entire human race. The alien leans close to Daniel and whispers a series of complex sounds into his ear. Daniel translates the alien message for Margaret. Margaret repeats the final words to the global audience as the stream broadcasts to every corner of the earth. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video like this.